A warm welcome to Business Daily right here on Trust Television. I am Yusuf Akogu. The 10th National Assembly has been inaugurated in Nigeria. And of course, Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Jibril Barau has emerged as the Senate President and of course the Deputy President of the Senate respectively. That is in line of the ruling party's, of course, desire to have their men at the helm of the affair. Of course, you know, when the legislature and the executive work together, there seems to be seamless implementation of government policy. Of course, in the lower chamber as well, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas as well and that of Benjamin Kalu have also emerged as the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker respectively. Tajuddin Abbas caused 353 votes to defeat his closest rival, Idris Uwase, and of course, Sani Jaji, who pulled 3 votes each. Of course, the 2 candidates as well are the choices of the All Progressive Congress, that is the ruling party in Nigeria. Of course, there has been a reaction from the stock market in line with all this development in Nigeria as well. But before we go to that, let us look at the top stories at this time. Interesting development in the world of business. Quite a whole lot of issues happening. Of course, like we told you earlier, the market is reacting positively to all of this development. Of course, when the new government came in at the time when it was inaugurated on the 29th of May, we saw a reaction there from the capital market, over 5% appreciation of the index at the time. That was like the first highest in trading gain in one day ever since the Nigerian capital market started trading. Impressive development there. And that stability and of course the reforms that has been undertaken by this government appear to be, you know, in a way create some kind of stability and comfort in the economy, and this is attracting investors from all over the world to start to look at Nigeria. That it seems like the stability that they have been looking for to come in and invest, to take advantage of the opportunities in our market has finally come. And that is indeed reflecting in what we are seeing in the capital market. Of course, you know, the capital market is the barometer as well for which some aspects of the economy, especially in the financial and of course the capital markets, are actually used to measure the development. And of course, it's a very, very key to every economic all around the world. As the market, as it is right now, following the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, the reaction has been so far very, very positive. The trading is on up until 2:30. That's a few minutes away from now. But currently, the market is positive. The index is up by 2.04%. As it is currently, is very, very strong, up in green. Recall that in the last couple of days, the markets were actually in red then. But again, the reaction we are seeing today is that of positive, because indeed, like I said, the economic stability and of course the kind of executive and of the legislature relationship we are seeing has created some kind of balance and stability in the market. Of course, the index has added over 1,000 basis points. That's 1,344 0.59 basis point has been added to the all-share index at the moment. It's way over 55,000 basis points as well. So the market is enjoying that, and we actually look up to how the market will close in the next few minutes, and we hope that the market will maintain that positive position at the close of business, which is a few minutes away from now. In terms of the gainers, as it is currently, we have about 51 gainers now that is being leading here by Zenith Bank. Of course, they have gained over 30 naira and 80 kobo to stand there up there strongly there at 10%. Of course, you know, the Zenith Bank is one of the big banks in Nigeria. It's Taiwan bank that play in the with the banking sector of the capital market. It's one of the bellwether stock. I mean, the highly capitalized stock in the market. So the market with some very liquidity. The bank with quite a whole lot of liquidity in the market. So the bank is the Zenith Bank is leading the gainers now. Is up 10% rather, while the index has gained 30 naira and 80 kobo. Lasako Assurance is second on the log now, doing not so badly as well. It has gained 1.98% to also stand tall there on the gainers table at 10%. So at the top two gainers now is Zenith Bank and of course Lasako Assurance. Why Jitco, that is a Guaranteed Trust Bank company, is also strongly there, gaining 2 naira. And the index has appreciated by 2.80 basis points at the moment to also stand strong there at 10% on the gainers table. So our top three at the moment, we have the Zenith Bank, Lasako Assurance, and of course the Guaranteed Trust Bank PLC as well. So you know, like I told you, the market will close in few minutes because of the dynamics of the market. Anything can actually happen before the market close. But the index and of course the kind of performance we are seeing is going to take a massive loss from one of the highly capitalized stock to see the market changing direction as it is right now, because it's positive, is way over 2%, and the market to close in few minutes. So we expect that pattern of trade to close for the day. On the losers table at the moment, we have the like of John Holt. John Holt has also is down here, has lost about 1 naira 26 kobo there to stand there on the losers table at 10 massive percent, very low, you will say. Of course, the honey flour has also lost so much. Honey flour play in the consumer good sector of the economy is down now currently 5.71%, while the index itself has lost about 3 naira and 30 kobo. A huge loss there, you will say, from honey flour. So then if you also look at the likes of Veritas Capital, is also down 0.22% to also being there in the negative 4.35%. Of course, so the market, like I said, is in the almost approaching the end of today's trading session. But again, this is how the index is actually showing right now on the floor. So we hope and that by the end of the day, the positive territory position we are seeing will actually be retained by the market as well. So if you look at some of the index we are having on the log this afternoon, some of them are not some of the popular ones that you know, the like of Geregu Power Plant, Dangote Cement, and of course MTN and the likes are actually also doing so well on the floor. But in terms of the volume of trade and of course the performance on the floor, it is in a way very low, and we hope that at the end of the business today we are going to see their performance on the floor like we have right now. We have about 51 gainers now. 51 stocks are actually on the gainers side right now, led by Zenith Bank, while we have about 7 losers led by John Holt is actually leading them right now on the losers table. So there are quite a good number of gainers today compared to what we usually have on a normal day. So the top gainers, like the Zenith Bank, is one of the 51 gainers that we are having at this moment on the floor of the Nigerian stock market. So these are the lines of gainers. If you know, over 100 and something stocks are actually quoted on the floor of the Nigerian stock market, and most of these stocks trade almost on daily basis, Monday to Friday, with the exception of public holiday. And as you know, yesterday was public holiday in Nigeria. There was no trading yesterday. The figures that we are seeing are the figures that actually emanate from the trading floor as it is currently happening. So we will continue to monitor the market till it closes at 2:30, and of course, when we're coming back to you much later or in the morning tomorrow, we'll bring you the total or the full activities of the market as it's going on right now at the moment. So we will continue to keep a tab on it and see how the market will close by 2:30. So it's on that note, we take a very quick break, and now when we come back, we'll get a reaction to the current market pattern from Professor Uche Uwaleke, who is a professor of capital markets and a former commissioner of finance in Imo State. Don't go away.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. And of course, we are looking at the stock market reaction to the new government in Nigeria. The reforms in the economy indeed has actually impacted positively on the capital market, and the foreign investors who had hitherto left the Nigerian markets are actually, gradually coming back into the country and, of course, putting their money where their mouth is. In their absence, indeed, the local investors have really done very well to keep the market stable. And, of course, when the foreign investors are coming, it actually shows a sign that the economy is actually on the recovery path as well. And that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has indeed given a pointer that, of course, he is ready to champion a new Nigeria under his slogan, the renewed hope. So we hope that this initiative that has started will continue to deepen the Nigerian economy, and indeed the lost glory will actually be regained, because the benefits of all of this at the end of the day are the masses who have bear the brunt of bad governance over the years. So we hope that this will indeed trickle down to benefit the ordinary man as it is. Of course, there's been reaction to the subsidy removal recently by Mr. President, which has indeed impacted negatively in a way on the cost of transportation. But the president has indeed reassured Nigerians that the subsidy will have to go for us to have a better economy. And he has told Nigeria to bear with him and give him time, that the suffering they're actually going through now will become a thing of the past in a matter of weeks and, of course, months as well. And Nigeria are indeed patiently waiting to see how the president intend to achieve everything he has promised. And if you look at some of the campaign promises that they have had from day one, the president has indeed started implementing some of those campaign promises, and indeed the positive impact is being felt in the economy. So just to get a reaction to some of these policies and, of course, how the stock market is actually doing right now, I spoke to a professor of capital market and a former commissioner of finance in Imo State, Professor Uche Uwaleke, and he bare his minds on the current stock market reaction to the ongoing reforms in the economy. Take a listen.
As at 11 o'clock this morning, of course, the markets will not end until about 2:33. Up to 11 a.m. this morning, the market was in the green. I think the market had gained about 1.5%. Of course, you know that for me, that's simply a response to the fact that investors are seeing prospects in the economy. And it's not only happening domestically, it's also happening in the international scene. You also notice that our Eurobonds rallied just the other day. And that's again on the back of investors' positive sentiments on the economy. I wouldn't tie that completely to the removal. I wouldn't say it's because the governor was suspended, no. It's more because of the reforms that investors are seeing. Just the other day, the JP Morgan, in its notes, reported a likely devaluation of the naira. That's, of course, following the unification of exchange rates. You should expect that, of course, the naira will be devalued. So investors see exchange rate unification. They see some sort of transparency in the forex market, and these are the things that are really propping investors' confidence. So the markets are quite sensitive to information. You recall that following the inauguration of the president and the speech that he made, particularly regarding this exchange rate unification and some other reforms he intends to carry out, the markets also responded positively. Both the domestic bonds and also our Eurobonds. We see the same thing playing out now, because what investors are seeing is, very, very high prospects, for the economy. Again, just the other day, I think one of the associates of the president, talking about Wale Edu. Wale Edu, I read the interview he also granted, saying that he expects this unification to happen within a quarter. Okay, so they're not looking at a 1 year horizon, they're looking at just a very short period. So if investors expect these things to happen, very quickly, You can also add the removal of fuel subsidy. These are reforms that the president is pushing, and these are reforms that the investing community, has been expecting for a long while. Take the case of fuel subsidy removal, for example. If you listen to the Senate President's, address, his acceptance speech, more or less. By the way, congratulations to, distinguished Senator Babio. If you listen to his address, he was also commending the president, for the reforms that the president, is driving, particularly the fuel subsidy removal. And he also said in that welcome address that even if it means bringing up a legislation to back it, that the Senate will be ready to, to do that. So these are the kind of signals, the kinds of things that investors, want to see. What that now will tell you is that somebody out there who has been thinking of investing in the downstream sector of the Nigerian economy can now feel more confident to come in, and invest. One thing that fuel subsidy removal will also do, which is also in line with the Petroleum Industry Act, will be to open up that space for investments. So the more investments we have in this country, the more capital flows we have in this country, the more the capital market, will also boom. So, as I said, it's important that these kinds of positive body languages, positive statements, come from our government officials. They are actually sending the right signals, out there. So basically, I'm not saying it's because he was suspended, that's why the markets are reacting. No, the markets are reacting simply because they see prospects in the economy. The president is saying the right things, talking about reforms, particularly the issue of unification of exchange rates. Exchange rate unification simply means the multiple windows you have now in the official market. By the way, the central bank does not recognize the parallel market. So it is the multiple windows within the official market that should be unified. All right. Now the expectation is that when you unify those, okay, because the multiple exchange rates, of course, would mean there are low, there were the ones that are low, and you also have the ones that are relatively high. So unify them to meet with the high exchange rate. So the unification will now tend to move very close to the parallel market rate, and then close that gap, significantly, because it is the gap, the huge gap, that is encouraging this, sharp practices, encouraging round tripping. All right. When you close that gap significantly, that it tends to discourage that. So it's important that the rates are unified, and of course, whether we like it or not, unification will mean devaluation. Okay, that's also why we can't run away from the fact that it will also have some negative consequences. There is no doubt about that. It will have impact on inflation. Even when you remove fuel subsidy today, it will also have impact on inflation. Of course, we have also removed it. Fuel subsidy has gone, and we have seen the effect it's having on transport costs and the rest of them. But these people expect these shocks, if you like, to be short term. Okay, because by the time you unify, yes, you devalue. Okay, you close the gap between the parallel market rate. What will now happen is that as more investments come in, as more dollars flow into the economy, the naira over a medium to long term will also begin to appreciate. So yes, devaluation will cause the naira to lose value now. The expectation is that with time, these things will continue to come down. Even with the case of fuel subsidy removal, the expectation is that with time, with more investments in the sector, with more refineries, with modular refineries, Dangote coming on board and the rest of them, the price of petrol will eventually also come down. Now, these are the expectations. And when I talk about prospects, in the economy, that is what a lot of people, are seeing. So in the short run, no doubt, it's going to cause some hardships, okay? But the medium to long term, the expectation is that things will normalize. But how fast these things happen will, of course, depend on, again, how quickly these reforms are implemented. Yeah, so the sustainability will be a function of, again, how investors see the seriousness on the part of government. But I think, from every indication, this government is serious to, drive reforms, and it's also good, very good, in that I'm happy to note that the National Assembly leadership again is the crop of legislators that have the support of the president, the executive arm, because it's important for the two arms to work together. So now that we have Senator Ababi Imagine as the Senate President, you can bet, and in the lower house you have Honorable Abbas Imagine as the House of Rep member. You can now bet that there will be a lot of harmonious relationship between the executive arm and the legislative arm, and it's also good for the market. That what that means is that any bill sent from by the executive to the National Assembly will easily get passed, and that also helps oil the wheel of governance. And to that extent, I expect that the market will remain positive on the average this year.
Professor Uche Waleke there, speaking of his optimism in the current administration and of course the economy as well. Well, that's the size of our show today. We say congratulations to the newly elected principal officers of the National Assembly. So on that note, I will round up Business Daily today. Join us tomorrow for more. I am Yusuf Akogu.